Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel ForexPnL. Today is Saturday the 2nd of July 2022 and it's 1:36 p.m. time for me to do my weekend Forex forecast for the upcoming week. As usual, we're going to be taking a look at DXY and then the 8 majors, and I think for this week we have about 5 or 6 cross pairs that are giving me structural levels to keep an eye on as we go into next week. So we're also going to be taking a look at those. But as usual, before we get things started, let's take a look at the economical calendar at Forex Factory to see what we have, at least from a high impact news that is already scheduled on the calendar. On Sunday, we do not have any news on the calendar. All right, you can see it's blank, at least from a high impact news perspective. And then on Monday, we do have the CPI data coming from the from Switzerland. Monday is also bank holiday in USA because of Independence Day, July 4th. And then on Tuesday, we do have the interest rate decisions coming from Australian axis. Now, we're expecting an increase by 50 basis points in the Australian dollar. So let's see how that is going to impact the markets. I've actually taken a look at the charts. There are a few Australian dollar related setups that I'm paying attention to. Okay, but from what we're seeing here, we are expecting an increase in the interest rates. So let's see how that affects the markets. All right. Now, on Wednesday, we do have the FOMC meetings. All right, coming from the United States axis. Thursday, we do have the non-farm employment change, all right, 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time, also coming from the United States axis. And then obviously on Friday, we do have the employment and unemployment data, and also, non-farm payroll also scheduled on the calendar for, next week, Friday. So obviously that's going to be a mover of the markets. But, in general, it's not a very, very fundamental heavy week. But we do have some heavy hitters on the agenda as well. So with this in mind, now let's go and take a look at the the charts and see exactly what we have from a technical perspective. Now, if we take a look at the charts, obviously kicking things off with DXY. Now, with DXY, let me take a look at the weekly time frame. Now, if we take a look at the weekly time frame of DXY, obviously a bullish week. The week started, we did have a little push to the downside just to form the low of the week, and then from there the markets exploded towards the previous swing highs. Yes, obviously we didn't take off this previous swing high, but I really think we are still going to be having some move to the upside now. You can see we now have an outside bar formation. If you look at last week's candle and this week's candle, you see we now have an outside bar formation, and in my own opinion, it's most likely that we're going to continue with the bullish movement. Okay, maybe after a little push to the downside to fill up demand zones in the smaller time frames. All right, now taking a look at the daily time frame, what do we have here? Not much, to be honest with you. Yes, I was keeping an eye on this particular demand zone last week, but you can see the markets they don't make it down to that particular demand zone, and from there we started pushing again to the upside. Right now the market, in my own opinion, is kind of consolidating towards the highs, and not much is really going on at this particular moment. I really doubt if we're going to make it down to this particular demand zone, unless maybe we get a surprise from the non-farm payroll release that will now push these markets to the downside significantly. But from what I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing a situation whereby the markets is probably going to open, and then we're going to have markets maybe pull back to fill up demand zones that we have on the smaller time frames, and then from there we're going to probably get an explosion for further continuations to the upside. Okay, that's kind of the price action that I'm seeing right now. Let's see. If we take a look at the 4 hours time frame, we have this particular demand zone area, okay, that led to the break of this level of structure that we have in this area, obviously. And you can see price pulls back towards that area, and from there the bulls have come into these markets and have attacked the previous swing high. So the question right now is, yes, we did get a push to the upside, but you see we did not quite take off these highs. Just a little wick above it. In my opinion, that's not strong enough. And we also have this key level of resistance right here, which the markets did not get to. So in my own opinion, this is not a very solid area, okay, this particular demand zone. And also because of the fact that the markets have actually pulled back to test this particular demand zone, I'm not so keen on going long from here. However, I'm seeing a situation whereby the markets might give us, upon markets open, might give us a push to the downside, maybe dip again into this particular demand zone area, and then from there we might, start get that, excuse me, we might start getting that bullish expansion for further continuations to the upside. That is the price action that I'm going to prefer to see. As usual, the market is king, and the market can end up doing whatever it wants to do. This is just what I can see from the technical perspective. Okay. All right, so next up is going to be US dollar Swiss francs. Now, in US dollar Swiss francs, what do we have here? Now, for this particular week's candle, you can see that we did get a nice push to the downside. The candle is actually now closing a pin bar. And in my opinion, it's as if from next week, we are not actually going to get a very significant bullish move in US dollar Swiss francs. I'm now beginning to doubt whether we are going to make it all the way down to this weekly demand zone. Price is giving me some form of candle formation that, in my opinion, this is very, very possible. Okay, it's very, very possible that if we succeed in taking off the high of this particular pin bar, and then chances are this market is most likely going to give us this very significant explosion to the upside towards this previous swing high area, and if possible beyond. Okay, that's the kind of price action that I am seeing right now in US dollar Swiss francs. Now, if we take a look at the daily charts, now in the daily charts, not much to be said here. Obviously, the market's kind of stalled around this area. Just an ugly looking chart, in my own opinion. The market has just been ranging for a little while, and then all of a sudden on Friday, you notice how the bulls came into this market, and we succeeded in pushing to the upside significantly. Okay, in my own opinion, that's really all from the daily charts. Now, in the 4 hours time frame, not much. The market's bottomed out here. It's just been a bunch of range in this area right here, and if you pay attention here, notice this massive bullish candle that we have in this particular 4 hours candle, okay, that took off this level of structure as well, and even this one. So the bulls are coming into this market slowly but surely, but again, in my opinion, I think the best look that I'm having is from the hourly time frame. All right, you notice how this market basically was ranging for a while, and all of a sudden we got this nice push to the upside that took off all these levels of resistance, okay, to the upside, creating this demand zone in the process. So, well, again, this is very close to the markets, and markets can open, anywhere, but nonetheless, this is still a demand zone that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. In the event that the market gives us a push to the downside, maybe towards, let's say, 0.9575 levels, anywhere from right around here, then, I'll be expecting the bulls to come into these markets to continue pushing these markets to the upside. All right, so that's pretty much it for US dollar Swiss francs. And if this actually holds and the market continues to the upside, breaking these highs, then that might be an indication that the bulls are now coming into these markets, and then this might be the beginning of that uptrend that will take the markets this pair to the upside towards that swing high that we saw on the daily time frame. All right, so that's it for US dollar Swiss francs. Next up is going to be Euro US dollar. Now, Euro US dollar. Now, if we take a look at this week's price action, well, again, the week ended a bearish week, obviously an outside bar. And in my own opinion, I think the bears are now going to continue, pushing price to the downside, such that we are going to probably take off this swing low that we have right around 1.0350 for further continuations to the downside. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now, in terms of the price action. We're seeing this outside bar, all right, bearish outside bar. So, well, chances are the week is probably going to open, give us a push to the upside to fill up supply zones in the smaller time frame, and then from there, boom, the markets are going to continue to the downside. That's kind of the price action that I'm seeing right now in the weekly time frame of Euro US dollar. Now, if we take a look at the daily time frame, not much. Okay, we can see that the market has been hesitating along this previous swing lows that we have right around 1.0350 institutional price level. It's been a lot of hesitation, in my own opinion, and the markets maybe will break it next week, or who knows, it might end up holding. But what I'm seeing is a situation whereby we're most likely going to break below these lows that we have around 1.0350. That will now open the floodgates to the downside. Okay, but before that, I'm seeing a situation whereby the markets might give us a little pullback to the upside to fill up supply zones for further continuations to the downside. Now, I think the question is going to now be, how deep of a pullback are we going to get in Euro US dollar? Now, if we take a look at the 4 hours time frame, we'll notice that we have this fresh supply zone in here that has not been tested. We do have this little area as well, okay, that markets can easily react off of and continue to the downside. But the clear one here, in my own opinion, is this particular supply zone area that we have right around that 1.05 institutional price level. Now the question is, will the market make it that deep? Who knows? Only time will tell. But that is the freshest, because you can see it's yet to be retested, led to the break of this level of structure that we have all around this area. Okay, this supply zone broke all this area. Okay, this whole liquidity grab originated from this particular supply zone area. So in my own opinion, chances are, if we get a push to the upside into this particular supply zone area in euro dollar, right around that 1.0500 institutional price level, anywhere from right around there, if we begin to push to the downside, that would be an opportunity to start looking for short opportunities for further continuations to the downside. All right, that's pretty much what I can see right now in euro US dollar. Okay. All right, so that's it for euro dollar. Let me see, in the hourly time frame, do I have any levels? I don't really like this particular level, to be completely honest with you. I just think that this particular zone right here is going to, just be an area where the market is probably going to give us a little bit of a, hesitation before we get maybe another push to the upside that will take us into this 4-hour supply zone, from where the markets will probably now give us that swing to the downside. Okay, so let's see how that goes. That's kind of what I can see right now in euro US dollar. At the end of the day, guys, remember, the markets can do whatever it wants to do. We can make it back to the supply zone area, we might not make it back. Markets can react off of this and just continue shooting to the downside. Markets might from here just start shooting to the downside, or we can even get a bullish move that will break all of this. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a trader to kind of follow price action and react accordingly to what the market is presenting. All right, so remember, this is just a forecast. All right, I just wanted to put that out there, and let's go to the next one. Next up is going to be Australian dollar US dollar. Now for Australian dollar US dollar, I'm really liking the setup that I'm seeing in this particular currency pair. If we take a look at the weekly time frame, you notice that this week was a very nice bearish candle. You can see how this week succeeded in pushing below this previous swing low area that we have right around here. Okay, and you can see how the bears really are in these markets. Okay, now if we take a look at the daily time frame, you notice it becomes quite obvious. We have some form of triangular consolidation, this flat bottom triangular consolidation, and the markets on Friday gave us that break to the downside. Okay, clearly breaking below the low of this flat bottom triangle, okay, and closing below this previous swing low. So this is a solid bearish move in my own opinion. All right, and now on the 4 hours time frame, the picture becomes quite clear. Look at this beautiful triangle in my own opinion. So what I would like to see right now is obviously price giving us some form of a pullback into this particular 4-hour supply zone area. Okay, this is the 4-hour supply zone that led to the break of all this level of structure. Okay, this level of structure right here. So what I would love to see right now is for these markets to give me, some form of push to the upside into this particular 4 hours supply zone. Then anywhere from right around here, if the market begins to give any reversals, I'll be looking for opportunities to go short for further continuations to the downside. Okay, this is kind of the price action that I would love to see in Australian dollar US dollar. Okay, now that being said, remember from the economic calendar that we just looked at, we do have interest rates coming out earlier next week. So you have to kind of keep an eye on that and make sure that you are not going to be caught or taken unawares by any high impact news releases. Okay, and that would depend on whenever on the time that this particular trade sets up. Okay, so just have that in mind. But from a technical perspective, I like this particular setup. All right, so let's see how this goes. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what I'm looking at in Australian dollar US dollar. Now that being said, next up is going to be US dollar Canadian dollar. Now for US dollar Canadian dollar, well, I did expect a bearish move last week, or actually this week, but you can see that the markets gave us a push to the upside. It was quite a slow move. I expected the markets to give us that quick dive into this 4-hour supply zone and then from there give us a push to the downside, but that didn't quite happen. And you notice that well, the markets kind of hesitated, and finally before the close of the week on Friday, we got that spike towards this particular supply zone area that is sitting around that 129.50 institutional price level, and you can see that from there the bears are now coming into this particular market. I am still maintaining my bearish bias in this particular currency pair. I would love to see the bears come into this market in momentum to continue pushing these markets to the downside. However, that's probably going to take some time, okay? I personally right now, based on the kind of formation that I'm seeing, I think I'm probably going to be waiting for price to give me a break of these lows that we have right around here, okay? These lows, then in the event that the markets begin to break below these lows that we have, then I will start zooming into the smaller time frames to search for supply zones that form for further continuations to the downside. Okay, that's kind of the price action that I'll prefer to see in US dollar, Canadian dollar as we go into next week. All right, so that's it for UCAD. Next up is going to be New Zealand US dollar. Now for New Zealand dollar, US dollar, well, if we take a look at the weekly time frame, what do we have here? Well, a bearish week. However, notice how even though the markets took off this low, we did succeed in the bulls came into this market and succeeded in pushing this market high enough to close it above this previous swing low that we have here. So if you compare this to the Australian dollar US dollar setup, then you begin to see that the Australian dollar US dollar setup is a better trade for further continuations to the downside. All right, that's kind of what I can see right here in New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Now also pay attention, this is that previous swing low, and you will see how the bulls came in and it's now looking more like a pin bar. Friday's price action is looking more like a pin bar. Okay, so this is not the best of setups. However, the bears are still in these markets, make no mistakes, and the bears have now succeeded, the bulls have now succeeded in pushing the markets into this particular supply zone that led to the break of this level of structure that we have here, and you can see we're getting some rejection already. So well, again, we're already in the supply zone area in the 4 hours time frame. We are getting very close. In my own opinion, what I would love to see right now in this particular currency pair is for the markets to give us a dip into this particular supply zone area that we have. Anywhere from right around here, if we begin to get that bounce to the downside, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. All right, that's kind of the price action that I would prefer to see in New Zealand dollar, US dollar. All right, that's really it. Not much. I'm not going to waste your time. Next up is going to be British pounds and US dollar. Now for British pounds, US dollar, what do we have here? Now in the weekly time frame, if we pay attention here in the weekly time frame, not much, to be honest with you. We didn't take off these previous swing lows, so this market is kind of trapped at this particular moment in my own opinion. All right, not much is going on. If you pay attention to the daily charts, you can see that this market just gave us a dip into the week of this particular buying origin, and from there the bulls are coming into this market again. So again, the market is trapped, looking generally bearish because the market obviously is forming lower highs and lower lows, which is indicative of a downtrend. But in my own opinion right now, not much is going on in this particular currency pair. That being said, if we go into the 4 hours time frame as well, you notice how this market broke this level of structure, and well, from here the markets can easily give us another push to the upside into this particular supply zone that we have now formed in this area. Anywhere from right around here, if the bears come into these markets and we start shifting in the smaller time frames, I'll be looking for opportunities to go short for further continuations to the downside. That's really what I can see here for British pounds and US dollar. Not gonna waste your time. On to the next one. US dollar Japanese yen. Now for US dollar Japanese yen, what do we have here? If we take a look at the monthly candle, not much. You can see we have a new demand zone, obviously, in US dollar Japanese yen. This pair just continues to shoot to the upside. However, if we take a look at the weekly time frame, you notice that it's as if the bulls are now slowly but surely kind of running out of steam. Okay, you notice how we had two massive weeks, and then all of a sudden we have a pin bar to the upside, and then the next week you can see now we are now facing rejections. We're now having bearish pin bars, and with significant wicks to the upside. Even this week's candle pretty much closed where it opened. Okay, you can see we now have two pin bars in US dollar Japanese yen on the weekly time frame. So I will not be surprised if next week, let's say the market opens and we get a significant push to the downside upon market open, at least into this particular demand zone area that we have on the daily charts. Okay, then that is where a decision will be made whether we are now going to get another push to the upside or whether the bears are going to come into these markets and break below this particular demand zone that we have on the daily chart. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing. But what I'm seeing right now is the chance that well, the bears are going to come in from around current market price and start pushing these markets again to the downside. All right, now if you take a look at the daily charts, not much. You notice that this market has not really been going anywhere. It's almost like we're in a range in this particular area. Obviously this is a demand zone area that led to the break of this level of structure. So well, I personally like to see these markets give me a push to the downside. Let's say from here the markets might give us a push to the downside towards, let's say, 132.75 levels, 13300 area, anywhere from right around here. In my own opinion, I would like to see the bulls coming to these markets again to give us another push to the upside, at least for a possible retest of this previous swing high area. All right, but in general, I would like to see obviously the bears to come into these markets for some push to the downside towards this daily demand zone area. Okay, that's kind of the price action that I'm seeing right now in US dollar Japanese yen. Not much from the 4 hours time frame, so I'm not even gonna waste your time in this particular scenario. All right, now let's see. Next up is going to be British pound, some Japanese yen, and this is going to be the last of the majors that I'm going to be taking a look at. Okay, if we take a look at the weekly time frame, as anticipated, the bears came in this week, and you can see how we got that push to the downside. I'm also expecting a situation whereby maybe upon the open of next week's candle, we probably get a little push to the upside, and then from there the bears will come into these markets again to give us another push to the downside. That's kind of the price action that I would love to see in British pounds and Japanese yen, at least from the weekly time frame. Now in the daily, not much is going on here in my own opinion. Let's take a look at the 4 hours time frame. Now in the 4 hours time frame, obviously you can see that from here the markets gave us a second push to the upside, but could not quite take off these swing high areas, okay, these selling origins that we have from here, and then from there, bang, the bears came into these markets, took off these levels of structure to the downside, creating this 4 hour supply zone in the process. So well, it all depends on how the market moves. As you can see here, I do have an hourly supply zone in here that the markets can easily respect and continue to the downside. But well, in the case that that doesn't happen, and from here, let's say the markets give us a push to the upside towards, let's say, 16500, anywhere from 16500, guys, in my own opinion, if we get any bounces, I'll be looking for opportunities to go shorts for further continuations to the downside, okay, off of this particular supply zone. I really like this 16500 level, okay, but again, we also have a level right around here, this 4 hours supply zone area. I mean, this hourly supply zone area. So let's take a look and see what we have there in the hourly time frame. Now in the hourly time frame, obviously you can see I have that supply zone mapped out, but again, this happened very close to market close. So you know, markets open, anything can happen. I'm not really gonna be too keen on trading this particular hourly supply zone, even though it can hold. But let's say it's just enough to create a retracement, and then let's say the bulls come into these markets and give us that push into this particular supply zone right around 16500. Anywhere from there, guys, in my opinion, is gonna be a high quality area to start searching for short opportunities for further continuations to the downside. That's kind of the price action that I would like to see in British pounds and Japanese yen. Now that being said, let's take a look now at Swiss francs Japanese yen, which is the first cross pair that I'm taking a look at. All right, I'm not gonna waste your time as usual. This is the setup that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, okay, this hourly time frame setup. To be completely honest with you, I'm most likely not gonna be trading this particular setup, and the reason is because this is gonna be very close to, you know, market open. But well, again, if you know, the market dips in, the chances are we're going to get that push to the downside. All right, but again, like I said, it's not gonna be my highest quality setup. All right, but I'm expecting that, you know, from anywhere from right around here, this market is going to be bearish, and we're going to get that push to the downside. All right, now next up is going to be euro yen. Now euro yen, I kind of like this supply zone area that we have in this neighborhood, okay. So in my opinion, I'll be keeping an eye on this particular currency pair. If the market gives us a push into this particular hourly supply zone, I'll be looking for reversals for further continuations to the downside in Euro Yen. Now, next up is going to be New Zealand dollar Japanese yen. Now, New Zealand dollar Japanese yen, I like this 4-hour supply zone area that we have right here. Okay, you can see the break of this level of structure that we have in this area. So I'm obviously keeping an eye on this one. If the market is to give us a push to the upside into this particular 4-hour supply zone area, anywhere from right around there, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. Okay, that's a high quality setup that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on as we go into next week. Next up is going to be Australian dollar Canadian dollar. Now, Australian dollar Canadian dollar, very nice market. You can see how we are flowing to the downside. Okay, this is the 4 hours time frame, obviously. So I'm also going to be keeping an eye on this pair. Should you get a push to the upside into this particular supply zone area, anywhere from here, guys, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. All right. Now, next up is going to be New Zealand dollar Canadian dollar. Now, kind of similar to the Australian dollar US Canadian dollar setup, but in this case, you can see that the market's already tapped this 4-hour supply zone, and you can see the rejection we're already getting. Well, that being said, I will still want to see the bulls coming to this market, give us that dip into this particular area. Anywhere from right around here, guys, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go short for further continuations to the downside. All right. Now, the next one, I think, is actually the last one, but not the least, is going to be Canadian dollar Swiss francs. Now, if you guys remember, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I brought this currency pair to your attention, and I told you guys that I'm liking this currency pair for a massive push to the upside. Notice how this particular week we have now an inside bar formation. Okay, it was first a week of indecision, and now followed by an inside bar formation, which is actually a bullish pin bar. So in my own opinion, guys, I'm looking out for a possible breakout. Okay, a nice push to the upside in this particular currency pair that will give us at least a possible retest of this previous swing high area that we have in this neighborhood. Okay, that's kind of the move that I would like to see in this particular currency pair. Now, that being said, if you go into the hourly time frame, you will notice that if we read price action here, the bulls came into this market, gave us a nice push to the upside. You can see this key area of resistance that we have on our charts right here was broken to the upside by this and creating this demand zone in the process. Okay, so what I would love to see next week is let's say the market opens, I'd like to see the bulls come into this market and give us that push to the downside towards, let's say, 0.7425 levels. Anywhere from 0.7425 areas, guys. If we begin to get a reversal, I'll be looking for an opportunity to go long for further continuations to the upside in this particular currency pair. This is one that I would like to hold and see. Hopefully, it's going to now give us that nice push to the upside that will lead to the retest of those weekly highs. All right, so let's see how it goes, guys. These are pretty much the setups that I can see right now on my charts. Remember, this is not a signal. This is just a forecast. Okay, so well, hopefully you gained some value from this particular video, and if you did, guys, please do not forget to click on that like button, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell so that you will always get updates whenever I post a video. Cheers and see you next week. Bye bye.